It happens in kitchens all over the country, usually during a New Year's cleanout or a move. Someone opens the cabinet where the plastic containers live, that avalanche of mismatched bowls and lost lids that never stacks the way it should, and decides that enough is enough. Most of it goes straight into a trash bag, warped, stained, missing its top, not worth keeping. And somewhere in that bag, far more often than anyone would ever guess, sits a piece of vintage Tupperware that a collector would happily have paid $100 or more to own, thrown out with the junk because it looked like exactly that. Plastic, after all, is the one thing in the whole house that nobody ever thinks to keep. This is a countdown of 12 vintage Tupperware pieces that are quietly worth real money, and it comes with an honest promise up front. No one is going to retire on a plastic bowl, and anyone claiming a piece of Tupperware is worth thousands is not being straight. But when a plastic container that was designed to be used up and thrown away instead sells for $50, $100, or $200, that is a small fortune by any sane measure, and it is exactly what is happening with the right pieces. The difference between a container worth nothing and one worth real money comes down to 4 things: the color, whether the set is complete with every lid, the condition, and how rare the piece truly is. And the pieces sitting at number 1 were never sold in a store at all, teased here and saved for the end. Before the countdown begins, one quick favor. Before that cabinet full of old containers gets dumped into a trash bag, turn a few pieces over and leave a comment with the color and whatever is stamped on the base, and there is a real chance it can be sorted right here, from landfill filler to a genuine little treasure. And subscribe before the bag goes out to the curb, because the list climbs steadily from this point on, and the last few pieces are the ones most likely to be sitting in that pile. Coming in at number 12 is the stuff almost everyone actually throws away, the ordinary, later Tupperware. This is the bulk of what fills the cabinet, the newer bowls and containers that really are worth only $1 or $2. And the reason they lead this list is that they teach the single most important habit, which is to check the base before anything goes in the trash. Genuine vintage Tupperware is boldly marked with the Tupperware name on the bottom, and crucially, it will not carry the modern symbols that give a newer piece away. A microwave safe icon, a dishwasher safe marking, or a plastic recycling number stamped into the bottom all point to a later piece, because none of those existed in the vintage era. So the first tell is a kind of reverse clue. The absence of those modern markings, combined with the Tupperware name, is what separates a $2 container from something worth a closer look. It is a habit that takes 2 seconds and can save a small fortune over a lifetime of cabinet cleanouts. And the rule is simply this: never let a piece go straight from the shelf to the bin without once turning it over. And the next pieces brought real color to the kitchen. The next pieces brought color to the mid-century table, and they sit at number 11, the pastel tumblers. Tupperware's drinking tumblers, especially the bell-shaped ones and the complete tumbler sets that came with their own carousel caddy, were made in the soft pinks, blues, peaches, greens, and yellows that defined the mid-century kitchen. A single tumbler is worth almost nothing, but a complete set, all the original colors present, none warped or heavily scratched, and ideally with the caddy that held them, is a different story, trading in the $20 to $60 range. The tell is completeness and color, because a set is only a set if every piece is there, and faded or cloudy tumblers pull the value straight down. A full, bright rainbow of them, still crisp, is a genuine find. The carousel caddy itself is often the missing piece, since it was easy to set aside and forget, so a set that still includes its original stand is worth noticeably more than a loose handful of the same tumblers. And the next pieces were built not to store food, but to have a little fun with it. That brings the countdown to number 10 and to the novelty molds. Tupperware made a whole family of clever gadgets, and 2 stand out for collectors: the gel ring, the ring-shaped mold with a domed lid that turned out a perfect gelatin ring, and the ice tups, the reusable popsicle molds with their own drip guard handles that a generation of children grew up on. On their own, these are modest, roughly $15 to $45. But completeness is everything, because an ice tup set is only worth the full price if every mold and every matching handle is present. The tell is that all the little parts have survived together, which, given that these were handled by kids and scattered across freezers for decades, is rarer than it sounds. A complete set in a bright vintage color is the goal. There is a strong nostalgia premium at work here, because these are the pieces people remember from their own childhoods, and nostalgia is one of the most reliable engines of value in any collectible. A parent who once ate a homemade popsicle from one of these will pay to own it again. And the next pieces kept the whole party covered. Number 9 belongs to the covered carriers, the cake takers, pie takers, and the push-button sealing bowls. These are the larger serving pieces that carried a cake to a potluck or sealed a pie for the road, along with the bowls whose lids sealed with a satisfying push of a button in the center. They are useful, they are recognizable, and complete examples with a lid that still seals properly trade in the $20 to $60 range, more for the harder-to-find shapes and colors. Some of these carriers doubled as serving pieces at the very Tupperware parties that sold them, which gives them a small place in the brand's social history that collectors appreciate. The tell, once again, is the lid, because a carrier without its matching top is just a tray, and a push-button bowl whose seal has cracked or clouded has lost most of its charm and its value. A complete carrier in a vivid vintage shade is what collectors want. And the next piece is one of the names that built the whole brand. Settling in at number 8 is the canister that helped build the brand, the Servalier. Introduced in the 1970s, its very name came from combining serve and seal, and its round canisters with their distinctive sunburst lids became a kitchen fixture. Color is the whole game here, and the most sought-after shade is the warm harvest orange of the era, with the true prize being a complete graduated set of canisters, all in matching orange, every sunburst lid present and sealing. A single canister is a $10 to $20 piece, but a full matching set climbs to $75 to $90 and beyond. The tell is that matched color across the whole set and the condition of those sunburst lids, because a single cracked lid can cut the value of the set by a third or more. Harvest orange, avocado green, and the warm golds of the era are so tied to the 1970s that a matching set instantly reads as vintage, and that unmistakable period look is a large part of the appeal. And the next color is the one collectors chase the hardest of all. The countdown reaches number 7 with the single hardest color to find in good condition: pink. Vintage Tupperware in pink is a special case because the original soft pink was notoriously unstable, turning to a dingy, brownish, washed-out shade after years of sunlight and dishwashing, so the vast majority of surviving pink pieces look tired and faded. That is exactly what makes a genuinely bright, unfaded pink piece so desirable, because it is genuinely rare. Pink tumbler and bowl sets in strong color trade from around $30 to $80, and pink canister sets climb higher still, into the $60 to $100 range. The tell could not be simpler. Hold the piece to the light and judge whether the pink still sings or has gone to a sad, muddy brown, because with pink, the color alone is the entire difference between clutter and a collectible. Collectors have learned to store their good pink pieces away from sunlight entirely, treating them almost like photographs that can fade, which shows just how fragile and how prized that particular color really is. And the next piece is the one that started the entire industry. Number 6 goes back to the very beginning of the pastel era, the frosted 1950s sets. The earliest Tupperware, from the frosted milky pastel era of the 1950s and the line marketed to aspirational hostesses, carries a genuine mid-century pedigree, and mint examples of these early sets, in their soft frosted pinks, blues, and yellows with the original seals, are increasingly collectible. Complete early sets in clean condition trade from around $50 to $150. The tell is that distinctive frosted, almost translucent finish of the earliest plastic, combined with mint condition, because these pieces are old enough now that survivors without deep scratches, warping, or a musty odor are the exception rather than the rule. And that brings the countdown to the single most historic piece of all. Coming in at number 5 is the bowl that started it all, the Wonderlier. When it appeared in 1946, the Wonderlier bowl was the first plastic food storage container America had ever seen, the very piece that launched the Tupperware empire and, with its famous burping seal, changed how the country kept its leftovers. That history gives it a special place with collectors. A single Wonderlier bowl with its original seal is a modest $15 to $25 item, but a complete nesting set of 4 or 5 bowls, every one with its matching original seal intact, can clear $100 to $175. The tell is completeness above all, the full graduated nest with every seal present, because these bowls were split up and their seals lost across decades of kitchen use. And an intact original set is a genuinely uncommon survivor. There is also real historical weight in owning the very first product of an empire, the bowl that turned a chemist's odd new plastic into a household name and an entire way of life, and that story travels with every genuine early set. And the next pieces prove that a single color can be worth more than the container it covers. Number 4 is where color becomes everything, the rare discontinued shades. Beyond the familiar pastels and harvest tones, Tupperware ran certain colors for only a short time or in limited regions, and a complete set in one of those scarce, discontinued shades in mint condition with every lid is where the everyday numbers start to climb. Collectors will pay a real premium for a color they rarely see, and complete mint sets in the right rare shade trade from around $100 to $200. The tell is recognizing that a color is genuinely uncommon rather than just faded, paired with the completeness and condition that any valuable set requires. This is the point where a stack of plastic that looks like everyone else's turns out to be quietly unusual, and the next pieces were never really meant for the kitchen at all. Settling in at number 3 is a line built for small hands, the Tupperware toys. Under the Tupper Toys name, the company made real toys for children, and collectors prize them today, especially the mini party set, a tiny working version of a grown-up Tupperware party with a little pitcher, mini bowls, small tumblers, and sometimes a miniature cake carrier. There is also the classic Shape-O ball, the round toy that taught toddlers their shapes. Complete toy sets in the original box commonly bring $40 to $60, and the rarer pieces and pristine boxed examples climb well beyond that, into the $100 to $250 range. The tell is completeness and the original box, because a toy that has kept all its tiny pieces and its packaging across 50 years of childhoods is a rare thing indeed. These also cross over into the toy collecting world, which widens the pool of buyers well beyond kitchenware collectors, and two hungry audiences bidding for the same scarce object is always good news for the price. And the next pieces are worth the most precisely because no one ever used them. Number 2 has never even been opened, the sealed boxed sets. In a category where value is destroyed by scratches, warping, stains, and missing lids, a vintage Tupperware set that survives factory sealed in its original unopened box is close to a miracle because it sidesteps every one of those problems at once. These untouched sets, a picnic set or a canister set still shrink wrapped and boxed from decades ago, command a clear premium, with examples selling well into the $130 to $250 range and beyond. The tell is obvious but rare. The packaging is intact and the pieces have never been used, colors perfect, seals never stretched. An unopened box of something designed to be opened and used up is exactly the kind of survivor that collectors dream about. And that leaves the rarest Tupperware of them all. And that brings the countdown to number 1, the limited edition and promotional pieces, the Tupperware that most people never had the chance to own in the first place. Throughout its history, the company produced special items that were never sold in stores at all, given out as awards to its sales force, offered only at events, or made in small runs for a single season, and because they were never widely available, the survivors are genuinely scarce. These are the pieces that top the market, trading from around $150 into the $300 range and higher for the rarest and best preserved examples. The tell is that a promotional or limited piece often does not match anything in the regular catalogs, an unusual shape, a special color, or a commemorative marking that a standard container would never carry. It is the summit of a humble plastic bowl, and here is the quiet irony of number 1. The most valuable Tupperware ever made is the kind that was never for sale, the kind almost no one knew to want, sitting unrecognized in the very cabinet that is about to be emptied into the trash. Look back across all 12 and one thread runs through every single piece. None of this was ever meant to last. Tupperware was sold as a convenience, a thing to be used, warped in a dishwasher, and eventually thrown out, which is exactly why the survivors, in the right colors, complete with every lid, in genuinely clean condition, have become quietly collectible. The value is modest compared to china or cast iron, and that honesty matters. But a plastic container that brings $100 or $200 is a small miracle, and the people who let those pieces slip away almost never do it dramatically. They do it quietly, by sweeping a cabinet full of old plastic into a trash bag on a Saturday morning, simply because no one ever told them that some of it was worth keeping. So here is the one rule worth carrying away. Before any old Tupperware leaves the house, before it goes in the trash bag, before it is dropped in a donation bin by the armful, turn each piece over, read the base for the Tupperware name, judge the color for fading, and check that every matching lid and seal is present. Never throw these away before checking. The difference between landfill and $100 collectible is often nothing more than 30 seconds and a little bit of knowledge. One last question, because this plastic has a way of surviving in nearly every family's cabinet. Which of these pieces is buried in a cupboard in the house right now? And, be honest, which one already went out in a trash bag before its true worth was known? Leave it in the comments, because someone listening is about to go dig through their own container cabinet, and the next quiet little fortune on a list like this one might be sitting right there under a stack of missing lids.